that I have an individual here by the name of Cassandra. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
How are you?
I'm good today.
Good, good, good. So I'll let you tell the people what you're doing in Dalton, and then we're going to get into some conversations.
All right. Well, I'm Cassandra Hopson Jordan, and I decided this year to throw my hat into the race because over the past 16 years that I've lived in this village, I've been here amongst four different administrations, and I've yet to see no change other than things have gotten worse. So I've decided that it's time for a change. It's time for something new. Time out for all this politics and politicians and get some real people in office that's willing to do the work, that's going to do the work, that's willing to make a change. And yeah, that's what I'm here for.
So you're putting your hat in the ring to run for the race of.
A mayor.
Okay, so you're running for mayor of Dalton.
Yes, Mayor of Dalton.
Okay, so congratulations on you putting your hat in the ring, and we're actually on the same ticket. So, uh, I I did talk to some people about my decision uh, to be on an independent ticket due to the people who were available to partner up with to run, and due to everything that's coming out about the current administration, the administration that wants to come on board and run for the mayoralship, I just felt that for me personally, for me and my household, that it would be better for me to go in a different direction.
Correct.
I'm brand new in Dalton, so I've been there over a year. How about yourself? How long have you hung your hat in that village?
I've been in Dalton for 16 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually like that village. It's a nice township. It's not too far outside of the city. It's not too far from Indiana. And you get the suburban living and you still can kind of somewhat get the city life as well.
So you talked about it being time for a change. Now we going into too much detail about what's out there. You see that there's a lot going on with this administration, not only allegations but actual facts about some of the things that are coming out that's not good for the people who live in Dalton. And I think it's the responsible thing to become involved in what's going on with properties, taxes, people in the area, businesses, things of that nature. Because if you plan on living there, you might as well, participate,
Correct.
Beyond, just living there. I
Correct.
think that it's important that people really get involved with, the processes of what's going on with legislation in their areas. So that's me. Why do you feel it's important for you to take on the task of running for mayor?
Well, I feel it's important because when I look over the years of the time I spent there, the time I've lived there, and to get to know a lot of the people, a lot of the neighbors, and things of that nature, a lot of people really do love where they live. A lot of people have worked hard, they have sacrificed, they're paid for their homes, they're ready to retire, they're ready to enjoy life. And I don't think it's fair to put all this hard work, time, and energy into a space, and then someone comes along and just like literally rips it out from up under you. I mean, what sense does it make to work for years, to pay taxes, to pay a mortgage, to get the mortgage paid off, and now you're ready to kind of relax, and down here comes a large tax bill because you got politicians in office that's, I'm going to say it, just greedy, constantly filling their pockets, not really concerned about the people. And now here you have a tax bill that's literally like another mortgage. When you hit a certain area in life, you're like, okay, house is paid off. I know I have this tax bill, but I don't want a tax bill that's so high to the point that all this hard work and sacrifice that you did to pay this house off, now you can't even afford it because the taxes are so high. So I'm like, listen, I'm one of the ones that have worked hard, that have sacrificed, paid off my house, paid my bills on time, did my due diligence, and now I'm ready to relax and enjoy myself. But then I get a tax bill, it's like another mortgage all over again. So it's like, what sense does that make? So I'm like, no, I just can't stand by. I just can't sit around and just watch this town literally go under. There's days I get in my car and I drive around and I'm looking at the township, and I'm like, no attempt, no pun or no
Mm-mm.
discredit to Harvey, but I'm like, our township is starting to look like Harvey. We're starting to get so many empty houses. A lot of people are running in fear, so they're putting their houses up for sale. And we know the more empty houses it is, the more desolate the land becomes. And I don't want to see that happen because, as I say again, Dalton, it's a beautiful township. It's a nice community. It could be something great. And I just don't feel like people should have to go out to other townships and spend their tax money there, and then yet where you live at is dying. So this is why I threw my head in the race, and I'm like, enough of it.
So you have about 20, roughly a little bit over 21,000 residents
Yeah.
in Dalton.
And right now, according to the housing department, we have at least 400 homes that are empty. And it's like, it's unfair to us that do live there because we have to split that bill up. And it's just more pressure on us. And the goal is we got to get these houses filled. We got to bring this community back. We got to build it back up. Dalton used to be one of the most beautiful townships back in the day. People would die to get into this township. And now people are dying to get out of it because of all the turmoil and everything that's going on. And I just think it's unfair.
So would you say that the township is a business friendly environment at this time? Did it used to be more business friendly?
Well, right now it's not business friendly because the administrations have failed to bring businesses in. And I know for a fact there has been a lot of business owners that wanted to come and open up businesses to help bring the economy back. And for some reason, the administrations, they just seem to it seems like they're fighting hard to keep the businesses out. I mean, we have enough liquor stores, we have enough mom and pop stores, and nothing against that, but I shouldn't have to go over to Indiana or go over to Homewood just for Portillo's if I decide I want Chick-fil-A or things of that nature. We should have these type of things right here in our own township.
So besides your passion for where you live and the fact that you've lived there for a while and you just care about uh, the residences um, in Dalton, what would you say qualifies you to take the mayoral seat?
What
Are you
qualifies me?
are you in business doing something else or what?
Well, I mean, I have a business. I have businesses, and I've been self-employed since 2000. So clearly, I'm doing something right. I've been able to be self-sustained for 24 years now, and I'm qualified because I truly have a heart for people, and I truly care. It's not about money because if they offer me the position today, I'm like this. You can actually donate the funds back to the village to help us get out of the hole. It's not about the money. I truly care about the people. When I look at my neighbors, people that have raised their kids there, people that have retired, and to see some of them literally living in fear that they might lose their home that they worked so hard for, I have no choice but to throw my head in the race. If I don't fight for them, who will?
So that's a great statement. I think that a lot of people are tired.
Yeah, people are tired. And it's like at this point, it's like I'm not about the Democratic Party. I'm not about the Republican Party. We just about getting the job done. So this is why I chose to run on an independent ticket because for years, we vote Democratic or we vote Republican because our parents told us to vote and this is how their parents vote. And I'm learning that people are just getting away from this altogether. They just want somebody in office that's going to truly do the job, truly be concerned about the people. And whereas we all can get a piece of the pie and live in harmony. And that's what the people want. The more I talk to people, they're like, I'm just over this. I'm over all of it. I just want to live in harmony. I want to be able to enjoy life. I want to be able to come home, enjoy my house, enjoy my home, enjoy my neighborhood, live in peace. And that's all I'm asking. And I don't think that's asking for much.
How many people have actually rallied behind you for your run for mayor?
Oh
For
my
example,
God.
before you answer that, prior to you making the decision, did you get a lot of buzz about running? And now that you've announced that you're going to run for mayor, uh, how are people receiving the news?
Yes. Well, prior to, for years, I think for about 10 years now, and I will say, I'm going to run for mayor. I am truly going to run for mayor. And then my neighbors and people that I know, adjacent neighborhoods, they're just like, you should really do it. And then it's like, hmm. And then since all of this craziness have taken place, and one day I woke up and I was like, now it's the time. God has released me, and now it's the time. And when I shared it with my neighbors, some of them literally stood there and cried, like, it's about time. Like, I don't know what took you so long. And I just believe everything has its own time and season to take place. But a lot of them literally stood there and cried. They felt like, I feel like I have hope again. Some were like, I was at the point that I felt like I was going to have to sell my home and find somewhere else to go. And they look at me and they're like, we're not just going to vote for you just because we know you or we like you, but we know of your character. We've seen you work in the neighborhood. We've seen you bring the neighbors together. Like, I had neighbors that lived in the neighborhood for over 10 plus years and they didn't even know each other. Until when I came on the scene, I'm like, the way I was raised, all the neighbors knew everybody. We all communicated with each other. The kids hung out. Other kids' parents disciplined us, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, this is what a village should look like. So when I expressed that to them, they was just like, this is amazing. Like, I feel like I have hope. I actually believe in the village again now that you are going to run. And I mean, some stood there with tears in their eyes. And I'm like, I'm a tough girl. I'm a strong-willed woman, and I'm passionate about things, but I'm also a big crybaby. And I'm like, don't cry because I'm a tearjerker. It doesn't take much. So
So you talk about where you were raised. Where were you raised at?
I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago,
Here we go.
in the Austin area.
Here we go.
223 North Latrobe. Was born and raised there. Um, my home church was New Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church, right there on. It was on Laramie and Fulton, and that's where my roots began, right there on the west side.
Isn't that something? You talked about hope. Now, I tried to communicate to some people that it's different from when you're actually watching things on
Right,
YouTube or when you're actually watching what's going on in Dalton and actually living there.
right,
The energy is so different. And it's amazing to me that people are actually or have actually said, you know what can I do to get out of my house because the taxes are getting so high or the chaos is just crazy
right.
in this village. And talking to people from the outside looking in, they don't feel like it's really that bad. They look at it as entertainment.
Right. And it's funny you said that because I get a phone call today, and she's probably going to kill me if she ever see this. And I get a call from her
But just
today.
don't say her name.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So she calls me today and she's like, yeah, I'm hearing all this stuff and I don't think it's that bad. I actually think, such and such is, I think she's kind of doing some good stuff or whatever. And I was like, you know what, let me stop you because I get that a lot. And people need to fail and realize and understand we actually live here in this village. It's not that we're watching it on YouTube or it's not that we're watching it on the news or whatever. We're physically living this. And I don't know what you guys are seeing on the news or what you guys are seeing on YouTube, but when you look in the eye of a senior
Right.
that has worked all their life, and I have to reiterate this, and they have worked hard and they've paid off their homes and they've retired and they want to just kind of enjoy their latter years, but to see the fear on their face that I worked all these years and because of one team of what all the chaos and stuff that's going on, that I might actually lose my home. And who in their 70s, who in their 50s want to have to start all over again? When you hit a certain age in life, it's like now it's time to, go into the second half. It's time to enjoy yourself. You've paid off everything. The kids are grown. Now you want to just enjoy your neighbors and enjoy life. But who wants to have to start over at that age? So when you look at the neighbors and you see the fear in their eyes, and these people are truly fearful, not of the person, not of the person, but of the situation. Because a lot of people, people laugh and they make memes and they make jokes and all that. And it's like, people are actually really living this.
You mentioned the fear, and it's just really something how, like you said, I'm just going to caveat off of what you said. People have worked for so long, but they do not feel secure
Yeah.
in their village.
And I've lived in this township through four. This is the fourth one. And I have never, ever in my life seen nothing like this. I'm like, I just want to go to sleep and wake up the next morning and all of this be over. But it's like every day is something new. It's something new. And it's like at a point like, chill out already. It's enough. You've done enough. You're doing enough. You guys have done enough. You're doing enough. I can't stress that enough. And it's like enough already. And people just wanted to they just wanted to go away. They're tired. They're really tired. They're frustrated. And it's so embarrassing because excuse me. It's so embarrassing because when you go out in public and people realize you live in Dalton, you get all these obscene and wild, crazy questions. And you're just like, okay, guys, this is not some type of fairy tale or some Netflix type of movie. These are people, actual lives. They're actually dealing with this stuff.
Right. It takes a lot of energy to talk about it.
Yeah. And it's not a joke. And then it's like the more you talk about it, the more upset you get. And then it's like, let me just woo off. Like, don't ask me any questions. I live there. It's a mess. And if you want to make a change, listen, I'm running for mayor. You can come out. You can help me campaign. You can pay, you can hit the pavement. You can help us get signatures. You can donate. If you're really concerned about what's going on, you can jump in the fight with us.
Slogan. So the slogan for our ticket is what?
The slogan for our ticket is rebuilding Dalton. And that's what we want to do. We want to rebuild this community. And of course, some of you all that will see the slogan, and some of you all have seen it already. And at the bottom of that slogan, it says, it's time to clean the whole house, which means it's just time to get rid of everybody. It's time for this village to have a fresh start. Get a new administrative team, new people, fresh faces, new ideas, and people that's willing to come together, work together as a whole, not all the bickering and not the power struggle and all that. And let's get this community built back up.
When we were walking the streets in our neighborhood, um, we talked to those two gentlemen, and it's not so much as if they were picking sides between the legislators and the administration. They were both just simply tired.
Tired.
They were tired of the back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like having two kids who you can't discern if one person took something from the other kid, and so you separate them both.
Right.
And so when we talked to those two gentlemen, they really did express that they were simply tired of seeing
Right.
their village on social media in a negative way. And there's so many beautiful things to enjoy about Dalton. You don't have to do everything right or everything wrong to move on. And what I
Right.
mean by that is this. I'm sure some legislators have done some amazing things, some trustees. I'm sure that at some point, the mayor had good intentions and the mayor did some great things. I
Well,
don't.
let me expunge on that. Now, I've been
Mhm.
there for 16 years, and I'm going to be honest. I really haven't seen
Much.
anything that anyone has really done,
Okay.
to be honest with you. It's like when I really sit and ponder on this thing and look at under the Shaw administration, the Riley administration, now the Henya administration, and I'm like, the most I've seen was okay, a skating rink was built, but it's not for the people. But of course, the people paid for it. I've seen some little row houses built for veterans, and I really take offense to that because I'm a veteran myself.
Thank you for your service.
And you too as well, shipmate.
All right.
And I'm thinking, if you're going to build home for veterans, actually put veterans in there. I find it really offensive because when we served our time while you slept that night, we're standing those 12 to 16-hour watches guarding the country so you can rest well at night. But you build an entity for the veterans, but the veterans are not in it. So I find it to be very offensive,
Mm.
and I just find it to be downright cruel, because you put something out there, and then they have this expectations of actually reaping that harvest. Veterans get such a bad rap. We go to war, because I was in at the time of the Gulf War. We go to war, we fight, we're out there on those ships. We're pulling those long hours, we're pulling those long watches. And then it's like when you come home, it's like it's nothing. And people just say, thank you for your service. But I need more than just thank you for my service. Do you understand the men that have fought in Afghanistan and fought in the wars? They deal with mental
Mhm.
issues and things of that nature, all the stuff that they were exposed to. And just to come home to get a thank you and then to capitalize on that and then don't follow through on it. I think it's just cruel. I think it's just ungodly behavior.
Well said. And then to come home to a broke village.
Yeah.
A
Yes.
lot of veterans are dealing with PTSD. A lot of veterans are dealing with financial and social issues that may or may not directly impact them or their families. However, it's still issues that they have to deal with, and to come to a place where you think you are going to get some peace, going to get some type of rest on in your own land. The last thing that you need is a whole bunch of rigmarole concerning
Right.
the administration that's running the village.
Right.
Uh, but before we go back into talking about that, I want to step back a little bit because I do want to ask you about different policies, your vision for it. Besides, the place getting cleaned up, I got some ideas. You got some ideas. We talked about those ideas, and I'd like to go a little bit more into that. But before we do,
Okay.
we mentioned or you mentioned that you had several businesses. Can you expound on the type of businesses that you have?
Yes. Well, one of the main businesses I've had, so I actually retired from that in 2012. I started out at 10 years old. I was a cosmetologist, and I went on to be a licensed instructor. So I owned salons on the west side of Chicago. I did that for like about 27 years, retired from that. And then I went full fledged into construction. So I went to South Suburban College. I took up every course I could possibly take up. And I knew I wanted to equip myself. It's a gift, but I wanted to equip myself as far as the knowledge to know how to do everything correctly. And so now I flip houses. So I buy a house, fix it up, sell it, because my goal is to help as many people as possible to become homeowners. I know what it is to rent, and I don't like the ideal of just paying off someone else's mortgage. So my goal is to help as many people as possible to become homeowners. So that's one of the businesses. And then I created another business, Desserts by Cassie. I specializes in vegan desserts
Okay.
because I do wear a chef hat, and I've worked numerous of events, many of weddings, all types of events, fundraisers, you name it. And how Desserts by Cassie came about is that when you get to the end of the event, the dessert portion always flop. So, a lot of people are going vegan, they're going gluten free, dairy free. So, one day I was at home, and the business came about. I was actually on a fast with my church. We had to fast for 21 days, and we had to be on a vegan diet.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, I like my desserts, but it had to be vegan. So one morning I got up, and I was getting ready to go into prayer, and was getting ready to meditate as well. And the Lord said, just sit. I don't want you to pray. I want you to just sit, and I want you to just meditate, just be quiet, just sit. And as I was sitting and just meditating, the word vegan came in my spirit. And then the Lord just started dropping ingredients in my spirit. And I jumped up. I went in the kitchen, and I just started pulling stuff out, and I start baking. Now, granted, I was not a baker. I cook, but baking is a whole nother
Whole
level.
different, yeah.
Like when you're baking, the timing,
The
the
measurements.
measurements, everything has to be literally perfect. Because it's nothing worse than putting the cake together and you get through all that and then it flops or it didn't bake all the way. So I know this had to be God, because I'm like, I am not a baker. There's been times where I would bake cakes and then I would literally cry. There's been times where I would look at my mom and I would try to make her biscuits. And when I got done with them, I made rocks. They
Mhm.
wasn't biscuits, they were rocks. So in this fast and meditation, the Lord spoke the word vegan. So I got up and pulled some ingredients together. and I had some the butter pecans, the peanuts and stuff like that, and start putting the stuff together. And I actually baked a butter pecan cupcake. My daughter happened to walk in the house, and I was like, perfect timing. Can you taste this? And she tasted it, and she just stepped back, was like, Mom. And I'm like, okay, is it good or bad? She was like, no, like this is really, really good. I was like, now don't lie to me, be honest.
Right.
She was like, no, this is really, really good. So I just started pulling other flavors and just start putting it together. And I would go to different conferences, things with the church, different businesses, and I would just bake all these samples and I was just handing them out and like, tell me what you think. And I mean, this thing took off like a rocket. People were like, are you serious? This is vegan? And I'm like, this is vegan. And that's how Desserts by Cassie was birthed out.
Okay.
So it's an online business. And that's one of the things I actually wanted to open up a bakery in Dalton, but filling out the business application and things of that nature, nothing. You didn't hear anything back. And that's one of the things our village doesn't have is a bakery.
and I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, and so it's online right now. You can go to www.dessertsbycassie and you can order. It's baked fresh. I don't do any of that frozen stuff. Everything is fresh, and your order get delivered right out to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've actually ran into obstacles trying to establish a business in the village?
Yeah, I actually filled out the application and everything, and crickets, nothing. I
You,
didn't even get a call back. I went up to the village to sponge on it, like, okay, I filled out an application. Who do you talk to? Who do you hear from? Oh, well, we don't know. And it's just been nothing. And I
wow.
think it's so sad because you have a whole downtown area that is desolate and it could be thriving with businesses.
Well, yeah, hopefully not for long
Yeah.
will it be desolate. So, successful businesswoman, God fearing woman, uh, passion for your community,
Yes.
passion for your neighbors within the community,
Yes.
and wanting to be a part of the process to legislate properly so that people can take pride again in the place that they live in.
Yes, I mean, it's nothing like being able to go to your downtown area of your village and sit and have a cup of coffee or have a coffee shop. I know one of the young men's, I don't know specifically in details, he wanted to open up a cigar shop, and was seeing the process, and then it's like it stopped and just nothing. And I'm like, this would be something beautiful, whereas you don't have to go all the way downtown to get this level of elegance. You can just literally, from where the downtown area is, I can just get on my bike or take a nice little stroll and can sit out at a restaurant, sit out at a nice bistro and enjoy myself. And these are the type of things that we want. So one of the things I really want to implement as a mayor is to actually bring businesses into the village. And when you bring in revenue into the village, it helps the economy, where it's not so much stress on the people in the village. And they
That's
don't have to drive to other townships, to patronize them. And the tax dollar goes to their township. And then you come home, it's like it's nothing.
well, speaking of tax dollars, um, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot did an assessment. She did an audit uh, for the village of Dalton,
Mhm.
talking about the finances, and I believe this is part one
Yes.
of a series of things that she'll be rolling out. So when she did, she put together some numbers that were alarming to a lot of us.
Yeah.
I believe that one of the things that should be tackled is trying to figure out how to get the money back to the people in the village. What would be your recommendation of how to have that money replaced? I think what 3 point something $1 million is
Yeah.
unaccounted for.
Yeah.
No explanation. We saw where some of it was spent, but there's still ongoing allegations and ongoing investigations as to the specifics of where money went to.
Right.
What would be your first uh, what would be your first step concerning the finances of the village?
Well, to be honest, when you have such a large deficit like that, one of my main steps would be is to actually invite the state to come in. to handle the finances, to make sure that we're getting back on track. Because one of the things were the village was not reporting yearly their finances to the state. So one of the things to make sure that we wouldn't run into this issue again is that I would welcome the state to come in.
Have that
So that way,
oversight.
as a new mayor coming in, they're like, oh, well, what are you going to do with the money? And this and that. And I'm like, listen, I would welcome the state to come in to take over this thing, to help get the affairs in order, to help get us back on track. And in the meantime, while the state is in helping us to get back on track, focusing on things like all of the empty homes. That is one of our most major problems is getting those homes filled to get them back on the tax bill. So creating a program, partnering with the banks, um, partnering with churches. You got a lot of people that sit in church. They want to be homeowners. So we can put some programs together, bring those entities together, and let's get some mortgages and let's get these homes filled where they can get back on the tax bill, where they can actually generate revenue. And then another thing, once again, bringing businesses into the village.
So I believe a lot of people have discussed the very same thing that you just outlined. I believe that one of the issues was that it just was not being executed.
Yeah.
A lot of people talked about the businesses coming in, about the housing banks.
Right.
I know in our neighborhood in Dalton, there's a house not too far from yours that's
Yes.
totally overgrown.
Completely overgrown. And I've been inquiring about this house for over 10 years.
Still no answers.
Still no answer. It's like, and I would question, the housing department. How is it that we have houses in the village and you have no record or no knowledge of them? It makes no sense. Like,
Do you feel like it's malicious or they're just ignorant to the processes or a combination of both?
I think they're just, a lot of them are just ignorant to the process. A lot of them get the positions, they don't study the positions, they don't pick up the guidelines or anything or read up on it to understand what it is they're supposed to do. So a lot of them just comfortable with the answer is, I don't know. I'm the type when it's something I don't know, we live in a day and a time where we have Google. Come on now, you can pretty much Google whatever it is that you need to know. If I'm ever in a position and there's something that I don't know, this is why you ask. Any question that's unasked is a dumb question. You ask questions, you research, you get the answer so you're better equipped to work the position that you're in. Now, I know everybody, when they get into a position, you're not going to know everything. We're all are forever learning. But to be in a position in something you don't know and then you don't ask a question, that's just crazy to me. And this has been the problem with a lot of the employees in the village. They get hired the position and they don't have a clue as to what they're doing. And you have people come up to the village asking questions because that house, through 3 administrative teams, I've asked about that house. I've wanted to purchase the house, fix it up, get it back on the tax bill. And it's just been a runaround for 10 years now, a little over 10 years. So I take it upon myself to go out, cut the grass, to try to maintain it so we don't get squatters or we don't get drug activities. Every empty house on my block, I make it my business to go out to maintain it, cut the grass, because you report stuff like this to the village, you fill out the forms, you go up, you complain, year in, year out, month in, month out, day after day, nothing gets done.
Mm.
So we have to get people in those positions. And I think training is so important. A lot of these administrative teams, they hire people, they put them in position, but they don't train them. And it's apparent that it's a lack of training. So before you put these people in position, you know, implement training, set up some things. I mean, if it's another township that's over and adjacent to us, and if it's working for them, there's nothing wrong with say, hey, listen, can we let our people sit up under your people for a week or
Right.
two
As a
so they can
collective.
learn the system, so they can gain some knowledge of about the position, so they can be able to function better in the village.
As a collective. Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think that's a great idea. Now we've identified some, blots on Dalton. I know when the news talks about Dalton, they talk about, you'll always see a picture of the downtrodden. You'll
Right.
see a picture of a vagrant that doesn't even live in Dalton, that's just kind of traveling through. But
Yes.
they try to um, have that as a representation of the village as a whole.
Right.
Can you talk to the people about what type of people live in Dalton?
Yes, I get so angry every time I hear the news say, "Oh, it's a poverty-stricken community." And I'm like, "Where are you guys getting this stuff from? If you would actually come out and speak with the people that live in the village, you have nurses, you have doctors, you have teachers, you have professional people that get up and go to work every day. Like, these people make good money. And if they wasn't able to make the money that they were able to make, you wouldn't have any homeowners. So I don't know where they get this Dalton is, below poverty level and the people are struggling. They make less than 25,000 a year. And I'm like, oh God, this narrative that they're putting out there is crazy. I mean, me ourselves alone, we make a nice living. Like we're not struggling like the way the media portrays it. Now, yes, granted, we might have, lately we've been getting quite a bit of Section 8 tenants moving in and things of that nature, and a lot of the homeowners have been complaining. And one lady asked me, well, what would you do about that? I said, well, as far as when you get a lot of Section 8 tenants moving in, I would create a program that they would have courses that they would have to take and to learn how to maintain a house, because a lot of people that rent houses don't understand what it takes and what goes into actually owning a house. And I think if you start educating these people, a lot of their disposition and attitudes towards just renting someone else's house, their outlook on it will be totally different.
I believe there also has to be opportunities
Yeah.
available, not only within the village, but you talk about sitting up under, the adjacent villages if they need to learn something about administrative processes, or if they need to, share into something that's working for their village, then we should implement it in our village. And I
Yes.
believe that the fact that we're under Thornton Township is, I believe, 17 villages
Yes.
underneath that township. There's a lot of opportunity for us to uh, share
Yes.
and learn and grow. And, the resources are there. I think the
Yes.
people are willing. And if somebody does come in and they take up Section 8 housing, I think that some opportunities should be laid out in front of them, just like it is for those who own homes in the village as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, I strongly believe in creating a course for them to take before you can actually even rent. You need to take a course on home ownership so we can transition you from Section 8 to actually becoming a homeowner. Because if those people are going to be in a community and constantly renting, you want to take them from renter to home ownership. So let's offer them courses and teach them home ownerships and how to straighten up their credit. I've dealt with a lot of Section 8 applicants. And when I look at their application and their credit scores, it's horrible. And I'm like, who are teaching these people? We don't want them to just be on Section 8 for the rest of their lives. We want to teach them the importance of having good credit, the importance of paying your bill on time, what it takes to own a home. So if you're going to rent a home, you need to take courses on home ownership. So then we can kind of transition you into home ownership and get you into one of those houses that is vacant and get that house back on the tax market.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And you also have to involve and hold accountable the banks,
Yeah.
as well as, the businesses in the area and the people and the those who are part of the legislative
Yes.
process, which is why we're sitting here today
Right.
talking about you getting in that seat.
Thank you
So
for having me.
very wonderful topics, very serious topics. It is no joke when you decide to put your hat in the ring to be a part of the solution concerning the legislative process and where you live. I talk about it on the show all the time about getting involved, getting involved, getting involved. And as I listened to some of my shows when I was talking about getting involved, getting involved, getting involved, I started to see the things that were going on in the village. I wanted to ally myself with anybody who was willing to do whatever it took to represent the people. And again, when I hit the landscape, I had no impact, no idea how deep the rabbit hole went in Dalton, Illinois. And again, I've only been there for a little bit over a year, and I'm seeing the same thing that a lot of people have seen. You actually have lived through several administrations,
Yes.
and so many other people in Dalton have lived through several administrations. So My solution is to continue to try to work with anybody who wants to work for the people. And if you're stealing from the people, you're not working for the people. If you're um, not being transparent with the people, you're not working for the people. You don't care about the people. You care about yourself. And maybe you care about some of the people, but that's not how you run a village. That's just my opinion, and that's actually my experience. If you are supposed to stand for the people, then you find solutions for the people, and you don't steal from them. We
Right.
don't steal from our brothers and sisters. We shouldn't steal at all from the people who work so hard to make Dalton and any other place their home. That's just one of the principles um, that you should not betray. And with that, as I've told the people who are close to me, and for those of you who have yet to meet me, I'll support anybody who will support the people, which is why I'm supporting you, because I do believe that you are going to support the people. Since I've known you in this short time, you've supported people that
Right.
we've had around us. And it's just a blessing and it's very refreshing. I'll say that again. It's just a blessing and it's very refreshing to be a part of a process that is going to bring change. And
Right.
this is what I've said to some of the people as well. Somebody came up to me and asked me, why would you even run? Because you just got here. You're not from here. Why would you even run when the people that are actually sitting in the seat are actually doing the job? Was that if I'm for the people of Dalton and you're for the people of Dalton, then why should it matter who wins or loses when they're running for a race? I don't even really care if I would win this seat if I
Right.
really felt that the person in the seat was doing the job.
Right.
And then that person said to me, well, how would you know if the person is doing the job or not if you don't even know the person? I said, well, you look at the record.
Right.
If the record shows that you're doing better than I could ever do,
Right.
then I will concede and I will make sure that I support you. Why? Because you're supporting the people. Now, if you're upset because I'm about to run, then are you really for the people?
Right.
If you're upset that I'm about to throw my hat in the ring for this race, and I'm telling you that I'm for the people of Dalton, and you're saying you're for the people of Dalton, then let's compare. I don't have a record. You do have a record.
Right.
So if I feel like there's some things that I can do better, guess what? I'm running.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, you say you for the people, I'm for the people. So guess what? We all win anyway.
Right.
And so with that, I've learned very quickly that if you're gonna go ahead and do something, go ahead and get to it.
Right.
Because you cannot wait for the people that's currently in the seat to
Right.
assist you with how to legislate when they've dropped the ball on it.
Right.
So that's how I feel. That's my opinion, and I'm glad that I'm running for trustee on your ticket,
Well, I'm glad to
and
have you.
I'm looking forward to winning what's ahead of us, and that's what we're gonna do. And with that, I'd also like to take this time to say thank you for having a conversation. When
Yes.
I believe we were, I think it was at the meeting first, or
Mm,
was it at the town hall? Was it at the town hall, or was it at the?
no, it was at the Lori Lightfoot
Okay, so it was at
meeting. Yeah.
the audit meeting, the
Yes.
findings meeting,
Yes.
and so that Monday, I announced my candidacy for running for trustee, and then I believe that Thursday, they started to unravel what was going on with the finances in the village. And I'm looking forward to the next meeting to find out, in more detail what they have yet to reveal.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to running on this ticket. I believe it's a strong ticket. I believe that we're going to have the support that we need
Yes.
to get, to get the win that we need so that we can take care of the people.
Right.
This is a position that you should humble yourself to be in.
Right.
This is a position that demands peace so that legislation can go forward. And I believe that you're listening to and you're looking at the right people to do it. So, with that, before we wrap, I would like to ask you to highlight your businesses again. If somebody wants to patronize your business, how do they go about it?
Okay. So if you want to patronize the bakery, it's like I said, it's an online bakery. You can go to www.dessertsbycassie.com and you can just stroll on there, place your order. It comes directly to me. I fill it and we get it delivered out to you. It's fresh. You just tell us where you want to deliver, what day, what time. I mean, some people order and say, "Oh, I don't want it until Saturday," or "I want it tomorrow," whenever you want it, and then we deliver it right out to you.
I'm looking forward to tasting some of those
And
desserts.
I
So
promise you, and I'm gonna have to
pat yourself on the back on
pat
that.
myself on my back.
Mhm.
They are out of this world. You will never look at vegan the same way again. And once you have one of my cupcakes or my pound cakes or my banana pudding, my blueberry muffins, banana nut muffins, they're all vegan. You will never want to eat a regular dessert ever again. One
Okay.
lady said, it's kind of it's kind of fluffy. It's not as dense. I said, because it's vegan. You don't have all the eggs or the milk and all the heaviness in there. I haven't
Mhm.
cooked with an egg and a milk in so long. It's mind blowing.
Well, I'm looking forward to tasting that because, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
So, and so, thank you for sharing that. And before we wrap, how can people who are listening support the campaign? Most importantly.
Well, those that are listening, I mean, you can reach out to me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Cassie Jordan. You can reach out that way. You can tag me and we can get you info as to how you can donate. But right now, at this point, it's not even about the money. I just want people to come out with us to pass out flyers, to hit the pavement. I'm one of those campaign people. I don't like just sending the people out. I like for you to actually see my face, to actually shake my hand, to actually talk with me, because that's just been the problem with a lot of politicians. You only see them on Sunday, they show up at church, they want your vote, you never see them again. And that's one of the things I'm going to implement when I do get in office. For every trustee, I noticed the village of Dalton, the police department has it divided up into 4 zones. So each trustee will be responsible for one of those zones, and at least twice out of the month, instead of they coming to have tea with you, you get to go out and hit the pavement and knock on those doors and talk to those residents and see how they're doing, and to write down those their complaints, and then that way you can bring it back to the meetings and we can sit down and have a discussion.
Some round tables.
It's
Yeah.
no more of just, making it comfortable for you where the people come out to the township or come to the meetings to meet you. How about the people actually see the faces of the politicians?
Well, I like that idea. I like that idea. The other ideas that we discussed, and there's more ideas that we will discuss. And
Yes.
guess what? We're going to have you come back so that we can continue to talk about how we're moving forward and how we're going to clean the whole house concerning Dalton, Illinois.
Yes, it's time to literally clean the whole
The whole
house.
house. So
Yes.
thank you for joining me on the Denasha Harrison
All
Show.
right.